I was having a hard time coming up with a proper title for this video. Um, because well, let me just tell you what's up. Um, Back when I installed Windows 7 on here, I had a major backlash. How is that? Well, unfortunately, the clocks got messed up. They got messed up to the point where they were about 8 hours. Let's see, what was it? 8 hours slow. It was in the same time zone, but for some really bizarre reason, they were 8 hours slow. I can't tell you why. It doesn't make any sense. But when I called Apple, when I set up phone support to call Apple, and we were walking through this, they said, go to your web browser. And I'm like, okay, I'll open up Firefox. And they're like, no, open up Safari. And I had the same thing when I went to the Genius Bar the other day. The guy looked around at my dock and he's like, well, where's Safari at? And I'm like, well, I just use Firefox. And he's like, well, open up Safari. And also, when we were setting up for our cable modem, and we were getting my iMac to work, the guy wanted to use Internet Explorer. Now, shoot, when was it? I think it was Panther. Up until Panther, the Macintosh did support Internet Explorer, but he wanted to use Firefox, and when we were on the phone with them, he wanted to use Internet Explorer. I told him, that I use Firefox. He said, okay, then you do it and follow my directions. And it was just taking me to a website and clicking on a couple links. And then later we had to call him for phone support, and on the phone they instructed me, open up your web browser. And again, I opened up my Firefox. They said open up Internet Explorer. And also the directions for troubleshooting were written in the lingo of Internet Explorer, the assumption that one uses Internet Explorer. Firefox and other open source software is really gaining ground and gaining fast. The one thing I don't understand is, in fact, a lot of people are saying that even on the Mac, it's the number one. It's Soldier Knows Best, I believe, did a little thing on essentials to download for the Mac. The very first one he pointed out was Firefox. Now, the one thing I don't understand is, if all you're going to do is take me to a website, why does it matter what web browser I use? And I'm thinking, well, I'll bet if anything, it's because they're employed by those companies, and they're like, you have to use Safari no matter what the other person uses if you're working at Apple. And if you're working for any company that has any gig in Windows, it's like, oh, you have to use Internet Explorer. It's like they won't even permit you to use anything else. It's like it's evil if you use anything else. But if you're taking me to a website, why does it matter what web browser I'm using? That's why I was thinking that this was like one-track minds of tech support. It's like if you don't use what they instruct you to use, even though it doesn't matter, what web browser you're using, if all they're doing is taking you to a website. If they don't use Internet Explorer if you're on Windows, or if you don't use Safari if you're on a Mac, it's like, I don't know, it's like you're not conforming to the norm or something. What is your take on that? Like I said, again, I've had that instance a few times where where I wanted to open up my Firefox, and they said, oh no, open up Safari, or open up Internet Explorer. It's almost like, well, it doesn't seem to ring to them. It doesn't seem to make sense to them that, oh, if you're taking me to a website, why does it matter what browser I'm using? It's almost like they're afraid of using. It's almost like they've got some sort of a pact against open source as part of their employment. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just, you know, I don't know. Anyway, what is your take on it? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome. Insults against me will get you blocked, and have a nice day.